And Tommy Mottola is a devil. I'm not supposed to say what I'm going to say right now, but I have to let you in on a secret. And he is a horrible human being, and we have to continue our drive until he's terminated.
These were some of the last desperate words of Michael Jackson before his sudden and mysterious death. The King of Pop didn't just fear for his reputation, he feared for his life. And Katt Williams just dropped bombshell footage revealing exactly why Michael was targeted by the elites.
And the fact of the matter is, we watched this nigga get murdered right in front of our own face. And the nigga knew it was finna happen. He told us, and we didn't know. He named his last tour,
This Is It.
This Is It. White people, let me just tell you a little secret, if I could. Niggas have never said, this is it, in a celebratory fashion. Let me just say, white people do it all the time, this is it! Not niggas. Every time we saying it like this. You know what, nigga, this is it. And they straight up killed that nigga.
This will be it. This is it. And when I say this is it, it really means this is it.
But is this another attempt to silence the truth? Or is there more to the story? Was Michael Jackson unalived? And how deep does this conspiracy go?
This will be it. This is it. And when I say this is it, it really means this is it.
What secrets did Michael uncover that sealed his fate? And why did he openly declare Tommy Mottola, one of the most powerful men in the music industry, a devil?
And he is a horrible human being, and we have to continue our drive until he's terminated.
Michael Jackson was no stranger to controversy. From his battle with the press to his legendary rise and tragic fall, Jackson's life was always in the spotlight. But in the months leading up to his death, Michael's distress became more apparent. He was paranoid, fearful, and desperate. He knew the walls were closing in on him, and he believed his enemies were getting closer.
What's going on with this? I don't know if I should tell you this, but I don't know who may be listening. There may be a group of people. Don't want to get ready.
These chilling words came just days before Michael's death, but his fears weren't new. He had been warning those close to him for years, telling anyone who would listen that the powers controlling the music industry were dangerous. But what happened next shocked the world. Was Michael really the victim of a calculated murder plot, or did his own tragic lifestyle catch up with him? Michael Jackson had been a part of the music industry for his entire life, from the Jackson 5 to his solo stardom. But by the late 1990s, the King of Pop was starting to see the darker side of fame. His music was a global phenomenon, but behind the scenes, Michael was battling forces that were determined to control him.
And Tommy Mottola is a devil. I'm not supposed to say what I'm going to say right now, but I have to let you in on a secret.
Michael wasn't just speaking about personal disputes. He was uncovering something far bigger, a network of control, greed, and manipulation within the music industry. But why did he single out Tommy Mottola? Tommy Mottola's name is synonymous with power in the music industry. As the head of Sony Music, one of the largest and most influential record companies in the world, Mottola controlled the careers of countless artists who would go on to dominate the charts. Icons like Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, and even Michael Jackson himself worked under Mottola's reign, making him one of the most pivotal figures in shaping the modern music landscape. But beneath the glamour and success of working with such a powerful executive, darker allegations began to surface. Allegations that Michael Jackson would publicly reveal as he confronted the man he once worked for. In 2002, Michael Jackson shocked the world when he made an explosive public statement about Tommy Mottola. This wasn't just another celebrity feud or an artist unhappy with his label. Michael's words were filled with anger, fear, and the conviction of someone who had seen behind the curtain of an industry controlled by dangerous hands. Michael didn't hold back, calling Mottola a devil and accusing him of engaging in nefarious practices to maintain his power and control over artists. These weren't baseless claims from a disgruntled artist. According to Michael, Mottola was manipulating artists' careers, tapping their phones and using intimidation tactics to keep them in line. Michael was determined to expose the truth, but speaking out against such a powerful figure came with heavy consequences.
And he is a horrible human being, and we have to continue our drive until he's terminated.
This wasn't just about music contracts or royalties. Michael Jackson had seen something far darker. He accused Mottola of being at the center of a system that preyed on vulnerable artists, using them until they had nothing left. But Mottola wasn't acting alone, according to Michael. He was merely a player in a larger, more sinister game orchestrated by the elites controlling the entertainment industry. Jackson's words sent shockwaves through the music world, but they were also met with resistance from the media and industry insiders, many of whom worked closely with Mottola. One of the most revealing moments came when Michael recounted a conversation with Mariah Carey, one of the most successful artists under Mottola's control. At the height of her career, Mariah had been married to Tommy Mottola, and their relationship was seen as a fairy tale in the media, until it ended in a highly publicized divorce. Michael claimed that after their breakup, Mariah confided in him, breaking down in tears and sharing the horrors she had experienced while being under Mottola's influence. According to Michael, Mariah described Mottola as evil, and Michael had to comfort her, knowing all too well the power Mottola wielded over his artists.
She said to me that this is an evil man. And Michael, this man follows me, she said. He taps her phones.
Mariah Carey's relationship with Tommy Mottola is just one example of how deeply intertwined power and control are in the music industry. While she was one of the most successful artists of the 90s, Mariah has since spoken about how suffocating her marriage to Mottola was, describing it as controlling and oppressive. Michael Jackson believed that Mariah's experience wasn't an isolated incident. To him, it was just one more piece of evidence in a much larger puzzle, a puzzle that revealed the true nature of the elites running the entertainment world.
I was in shock. Al said to me, look, this was supposed to be about about black artists and their treatment in the music business. I had no idea he was going to pull this stunt.
For Michael, Mottola was more than just a ruthless businessman. He symbolized everything wrong with the music industry, a figurehead for an elite class that thrived on the exploitation of talent. Michael's bold accusations against Mottola weren't just an act of rebellion, but a declaration of war against the very system that had made him a superstar. But in trying to fight back, Michael was risking everything: his career, his reputation, and eventually his life. The more Michael tried to expose Mottola and the hidden forces behind him, the more dangerous his situation became. In the months leading up to his death, Michael repeatedly expressed his fear of being framed and silenced. He believed that his outspoken criticisms of the music industry elites, including Mottola, had put him in harm's way. Michael knew too much, and that knowledge made him a threat. But was his battle with Tommy Mottola and the industry just the tip of the iceberg? In the eyes of the public, Michael Jackson was a troubled star, plagued by legal battles, addiction rumors, and financial difficulties. But behind the scenes, Michael was fighting a much bigger war, a war against powerful figures who would stop at nothing to protect their interests. As the King of Pop's paranoia grew, so did the forces conspiring against him. His fight with Mottola, once a public feud, became a private struggle to stay alive, with Michael believing that his enemies were closing in on him. In the weeks leading up to his sudden death, Michael Jackson's life was filled with turmoil, paranoia, and an overwhelming sense of dread. The world knew him as the King of Pop, a larger-than-life figure who had mesmerized millions with his music and iconic performances. But behind the scenes, Jackson was a man who felt cornered, isolated, and increasingly fearful for his safety. This fear was not just a fleeting anxiety, but something deep-seated, something that had been growing for years. And in the final months of his life, Michael began to leave clues, warnings that something sinister was about to happen to him. In 2017, one of Jackson's closest friends, Michael Jacobs Hagan, revealed a chilling detail that sent shockwaves through fans and conspiracy theorists alike. Jacob Shagan, who had been friends with Jackson for over 20 years, said that just weeks before his death, Michael handed him 13 handwritten letters. These weren't just personal musings or reflections, they were desperate pleas. In these letters, Jackson expressed a very specific fear that someone was trying to kill him. He wrote phrases like, "They are trying to murder me, and I am scared about my life," clearly indicating that he believed there was a plot against him. These weren't empty threats or baseless fears. Jackson had reason to believe that he was in imminent danger. Over the years, the King of Pop had repeatedly voiced concerns about powerful figures in the music industry who were out to control and manipulate him. His public accusations against figures like Tommy Mottola, whom he labeled as evil and a devil, were just the tip of the iceberg. In Michael's mind, the forces working against him were not just interested in destroying his career. They were interested in ending his life. The letters Jacob Shoggan revealed painted a picture of a man who felt trapped, with no way out. Jackson's fear wasn't limited to Mottola or music executives. He believed the danger went far beyond them. In one letter, he specifically mentioned the pressure from concert promoters AEG, the company responsible for organizing his 50-concert residency at London's O2 Arena. In one of the letters, Jackson reportedly wrote, "AEG makes so much pressure to me, I'm scared about my life." This line suggested that Michael was under immense pressure, so much that it was taking a toll on his mental and emotional state. He felt that the very people who were supposed to help him resurrect his career were now orchestrating his downfall. But it wasn't just the letters that hinted at the looming threat. This wasn't just about money, contracts, or business deals. Michael feared he was up against a hidden network of elites who had the power to not only destroy his career, but take his life and manipulate the narrative afterward. In the letters, Jackson seemed to understand that his time was running out. His words suggested a man who had resigned himself to a terrible fate, knowing that no matter what he did, these forces were closing in on him. It's as if he knew his life would end in tragedy, and all he could do was leave behind these warnings, these breadcrumbs, for the world to find after he was gone. But who exactly was Michael talking about? Was his fear directed solely at Mottola and the executives at AEG, or was there something more sinister at play? Could these elites he spoke of be part of a larger, more complex conspiracy to silence him forever?
Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time.
A video making rounds on the internet shows Katt Williams releasing some truth missiles about the passing of one of the greatest musicians of all time, Michael Jackson. In his usual no-holds-barred style, Katt Williams insinuated that the pop icon was eliminated by some of the industry players right before our very own eyes. Though all evidence points to the fact that Michael Jackson overdosed on medication, Katt Williams alleged that it was all planned. According to Katt, Michael Jackson knew it was going to happen and gave his fans hints of plans by some evil individuals to end him, but they didn't catch his drift. Katt claimed that one of the hints was when he named his last tour, "This Is It." He alleged that the pop icon knew he was at the end of his life and that he wouldn't survive to organize another tour, which is why he gave it that name. True to MJ's words, the "This Is It" tour happened to be his last, as he passed away in the same year that he made that announcement.
He knew it was finna happen. He told us, and we didn't know. He named his last tour, "This Is It." This is it.
The comedian observed that MJ didn't make the announcement in a celebratory manner. Instead, he sounded like he was tired of fighting the evil in the industry, and he had given up. So, Katt Williams appears to think that MJ's passing was pre-planned by the industry greats, who disliked the power he wielded. For context, in March of 2009, in a high-profile press conference, Jackson thrilled fans by announcing his "This Is It" concert residency at London's O2 Arena.
These will be my final show performances in London. This will be it. This is it. And when I say this is it, it really means this is it.
Although the career comeback wasn't solely due to the superstar's desire to perform again with mounting debt, This Is It was designed to show the public, who had been bombarded with sensationalized tabloid Wacko Jacko headlines for decades now, that Jackson still had what it takes as an entertainer, and its proceeds would help the pop superstar get on top of his spiraling finances. Michael Jackson had written new songs and was rehearsing multiple hours a day in preparation for the concert series. But as the production team prepped for the shows, Jackson's already erratic behavior worsened as opening night approached. Emotionally frail and physically thin, Jackson was described by his makeup artist, Karen Faye, as very upbeat, but he was on the thin side, Faye said of an earlier April 2009 meeting with Jackson. Come June, everything had changed. He was not the man I knew, Faye recounted. He was acting like a person I didn't recognize. During a mid-June rehearsal, Jackson appeared very stoic but frightened. According to Faye, he kept repeating, "Why can't I choose?" It was one of the things he repeated over and over again, Faye said, adding that she had never seen him so emaciated. What exactly happened to the pop superstar between the months of April and June to cause such a notable change in his appearance and overall well-being? In May 2009, AEG Live hired Dr. Conrad Murray via Jackson to be the singer's exclusive personal physician for the tour, though AEG would later claim there was never a contract with Murray. What exactly was Murray's job? To ensure to the best of his ability that the performer was in tour-ready shape. By the time Jackson began rehearsing for the 50 concert dates, he was already being treated for chronic pain for decades. Some injuries included head burns that the singer suffered while filming a Pepsi commercial in 1984, and later a back injury he sustained when a bridge suspended above a stage that he was standing on collapsed during a concert in Munich, Germany in 1999. This compounded by Jackson's trouble sleeping, especially following tour performances and other high-stress circumstances, as well as multiple diagnosed anxiety disorders, meant the global icon had long been taking a cocktail of prescription drugs he was fully dependent on. Jackson's continued use of such medications made headlines in 2007 when a Beverly Hills pharmacy filed a complaint against the singer for not paying a prescription drug bill dating back to 2005. A former staffer at Jackson's home reporting, according to court documents, that the singer would take 30 to 40 Xanax pills a night. As the concert's rehearsals progressed and the weeks wound down toward the opening night of This Is It, Michael Jackson complained that he was feeling fatigued and that he couldn't sleep between rehearsals. Dr. Conrad Murray confesses that he had given the singer infusions of propofol in order to help the performer sleep. After a poor rehearsal on June 13, 2009, Jackson missed the following day's rehearsal on the advice of Murray. According to Kenny Ortega's testimony, the show director for This Is It, AEG was firm in putting Murray in charge of getting Jackson to rehearsals. However, Jackson was a no-show for another week. Ortega stated that when Jackson returned to rehearsals on June 19th, he appeared lost, cold, afraid, and the show director believed the best thing to do would be to stop the production, but was torn because he did not want to break Michael's heart. In a series of emails to AEG Live executives, Ortega wrote Jackson was showing signs of paranoia, anxiety, and obsessive disorder-like behavior, and recommended a psychiatrist be brought in to evaluate the star. At a meeting at Michael Jackson's home on June 20th, Ortega recounted that Murray believed Jackson was physically and emotionally capable of handling all his responsibility as a performer, and that Murray should be the only one to make such decisions. After almost a decade's break in Jackson's music and performing, as well as an intense period that sought to take down his legendary career during his trial for alleged SA, the biggest superstar in the world needed to triumph in a comeback like no other. The stakes were as high as ever, and this comeback was simply too big to fail. The show must go on. Michael returned to rehearsals on June 23rd, apparently a very different man. "I was overjoyed at his energy, his state of mind, his enthusiasm," Ortega stated. Dr. Murray later admitted he had stopped using propofol to induce sleep for Jackson for the 2 previous nights. A sleep expert confirmed that a person can recover quickly from heavy use of the drug. On June 24th, Jackson left his home around 7 p.m. and traveled to the Staples Center in downtown Los Angeles for what would be his final rehearsal. Many in attendance recalled the singer as continuing to be in good shape as he ran through the show. The rehearsal ended around midnight, and Jackson hugged his dancers and thanked the crew. Then the music icon returned home, where he greeted a small group of fans who had gathered outside his rented mansion. The sold-out shows were scheduled for just a few weeks, and for the first time, Michael felt positive and on his way to giving audiences the type of performance he felt they deserved. But it was only a matter of time before Michael began complaining of fatigue. Dr. Conrad Murray was concerned that Jackson was addicted to propofol and instead administered Valium to the singer in order to help him sleep. Throughout the night, Murray said he gave Jackson further doses of sedatives, but no propofol, even though the singer repeatedly requested it. Murray gave in to Jackson's demand for the drug mid-morning when the doctor added propofol to the singer's intravenous drip. On June 25, 2009, the world lost one of its greatest talents, but the circumstances surrounding Michael Jackson's death continue to raise questions. Was it a tragic accident caused by the negligence of his doctor, or was it something far more sinister? According to medical reports, the pop icon lost his life to overdosing on the prescribed surgical anesthetics and antidepressants. The records established that his personal physician administered the drugs to him the night before his passing, raising several eyebrows within the industry and the fandom.
Dr. Murray abandoned his patient who was trusting him. His patient was vulnerable under those circumstances, having been administered.
What many people found surprising was his personal doctor's failure to inform the paramedics and the physicians at the hospital of the drugs he had administered to MJ the night before. Even worse, the coroner's report indicated that the doctor had injected MJ with lethal levels of the medications. These revelations angered many fans, and they started calling for Conrad Murray's head. Soon, Conrad Murray was arraigned before the court and charged with voluntary manslaughter. The physician pleaded not guilty and told the press, "I have done all that I can do to help the police. I told the truth, and I have faith the truth would prevail." Murray's trial lasted for 6 weeks, with the jury given an extra 2 days to deliberate on the matter. On the 29th of November 2011, Murray was convicted and sentenced to 4 years in prison for voluntary manslaughter.
The court imposes the high term of 4 years imprisonment in this case, pursuant to the Realignment Act of 2011 and the provisions of Penal Code Section 1170, Subdivision H.
The prosecution argued that it was Murray's injections that caused the icon to lose his life, and therefore pushed for a stiffer punishment. However, the doctor's defense argued that he should be put on probation instead of prison because he had no criminal record. As expected, the 4-year sentence angered the family and fans as they thought that Conrad deserved worse punishment than what was handed to him. The rumor mill then went into overdrive with a million explanations and theories about MJ's passing. One prominent theory surmised that MJ was eliminated on purpose, and the doctor was in on the act all along. Michael Jackson was a man who spent his life fighting for control of his career, his image, and ultimately his life. But in the end, those he feared may have been the ones to take it all away. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.